Yeah.
How you been anyway? Good?
Good.
Yeah?
Except my daughter broke her arm on the weekend.
Doing what?
Doing cartwheels.
Cartwheels?
Who would have thought 500 cartwheels a day would have caused a problem?
She's all good?
So, yeah, she's all good. I went to Blacktown Hospital. I was a bit nervous, but they were really, really good. Man, there were so many people right there helping her out. Maybe go, hey, you know what? It's not a bad place.
Anyway, let's get on the way here. All right. So tell me a bit about, before we get into it, give me a bit of an intro into you.
All right, I guess the easiest intro into me is what most people know me for, is for kickboxing.
Yep.
Also boxing, MMA and karate. I've got 2 black belts in karate. I've done that since I was 18. Actually, people always think that I started really, really young.
I actually seen your record. I actually looked up your record there, actually be on the way here. I seen it because it was all on Google, and I was looking at it going, fuck, it's pretty impressive.
I think the most impressive thing is that I can still speak. It's like 127 pro fights. So most heavyweights had anywhere near
Are you
that.
sure you're 6'2"? Because it says 6'2" on that.
I'm 191, so what's that, 6'3"? I'm a little shorter than you, I think.
I'm 193. 194.
I think I'm maybe 191.
When I looked at your profile, it says 6'2". I went, no fucking way, 6'2".
Well, Wikipedia and stuff, people just put whatever. I don't know. I think I'm 191 or about 6'2", 6'3".
Okay. All right. I'll take it. That means I'm taller than you. It's all right. It looks good. Okay. Oh, okay. Fair enough. Well, thanks.
So I think, yeah, I think I'm a little shorter than you.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Yeah,
it's still a bigger.
Yeah, I'm a pretty big human being. Anyway, so I got 2 black belts in karate. Then it started when I was 18, not when I was 5 or 10 or anything like that. I started kickboxing at 21. I turned pro at 25. I was an undefeated amateur world champion. In about 2008, with the economic downturn in Japan, because I was living there fighting K1, I started fighting MMA. My first MMA fight was against Fujita. Anyone who knows MMA is the guy's a unbelievably talented, old school superstar in MMA from Japan. I started boxing as an amateur. I only had 1 amateur boxing fight that I won because I ran out of people to kickbox. I wanted to keep fighting.
Yeah.
But then after moving back to Australia, again there wasn't much happening in MMA, and I was finding it really hard to get fights. So I said, well, I'll box as well. And I want to.
How did you find the boxing, compared to training for MMA and all like that, martial arts, and then going to boxing?
So boxing is the easiest and the hardest, all in one. It's easiest to train because it's only one skill, right? It's only hands, but it's also the hardest because title fights are 10 rounds, world title fights are 12, and it's. Did
you find opponents here? Was it hard?
No, we have all the Polynesians, so there's lots of big Polynesians running around. They all love a fight.
Yeah.
And they're good. They're talented. Everyone from David Tua and Mark Hunt. And all the ones, and Tai Tuatavasa, guys like that.
You didn't fight Mark Hunt, did you?
I fought Mark Hunt twice, and I fought Tai Tuatavasa.
Because he had a gym. He's got a gym.
He's got one out west.
Yeah.
Mark and I actually come from the same gym in Redfern.
Oh, okay.
Trained under Alex Tui. Well, his real name is Mafua Tuatavaka.
Yeah.
Can tell you, spied a lot of Polynesians. I got that. I like to think I got their names down pat. But so I fought Mark Hunt twice, 1 win, 1 loss, and I fought Tai Tuatavasa, the guy who's now in the UFC. He's doing really well, but I also beat him.
But you fought Mark at his peak, when he was at his peak.
Yep, just before he won K1.
Yeah.
So he beat me in the Oceania, and my very next fight. Is the only guy to ever. Well, I say it was a knockout. A lot of people say it was a knockdown, but I reckon I was knocked out. It might have only been for a split second, but I always say this: everyone's been knocked out by Mark Hunt, even if you haven't met him. There is no one on this planet who hits as hard as him.
Yeah.
Not that I've met, and I've sparred and fought many tough, strong guys. He just, he hits you, and then you hit the floor. And then we had a rematch in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And I remember going, okay, I know what to do to beat him. And so it was a kickboxing fight, and then I hit him with the best knee I've ever thrown in my life. I went crack. I thought, outstanding, I'm done now. It was I stepped into it, bang, and I felt that crack. When you hit someone and you get that crack and you go, yep. And he kind of stepped back a little bit, shook it off, and came back forward. I'm like, fuck that. I'm just going to try to win this on points. I'm not getting anywhere near him. Yeah, so.
But did you ever try and get any fights like overseas? Like when I say overseas, like UK or America?
Yep, I fought. What's his name? Pujanowski, world's strongest man, in the main event. There's O2 Arena. There's the arena, and then there's the O2 stadium. What's the big rugby one they have in London? O2. That's a big stadium. But anyway, in the arena was the main event of that. Completely sold out. The Tokyo Dome, 73,000 people. I wasn't the main event for that, but I was in the main show. It was a K1 Grand Prix. Lots of fights in Russia, China. Main events, Russia fought Alexander Emelianenko, which is Fedor Emelianenko's brother.
Yeah.
And you want a scary human being? He's a what they call it, a general in the Russian mob, and he's got all the Russian mob tattoos on him, and on his back is what I call the scariest tattoo of any person I know.
It's like what's that movie called? Where he fights in the jails. What's that one?
I don't know.
The martial arts guy who's from UK.
Yeah, I know the movie you're talking about. Anyway, so this guy is a little bit taller than you and I.
Yeah.
Never smiles, never laughs, doesn't talk so much. White as it goes, kind of straight hair and huge, right? He's a massive human being. And on his back, it fills up his whole back as a Grim Reaper, cradling a newborn baby. And it basically means I'm in the mob from cradle till grave. And, it's common knowledge that he's been to jail for rape and, he's, linked to, he's a general in the Russian mob. And you don't have to be a detective to understand what those guys, they don't fuck around. It's not joking. They're not trying, they're bad people. So when I got to Russia to fight him, I said to management, I said, thanks for the invite. Great country. Love the place. Is it okay that I try to win the fight? I said, what do you mean? I said, look, I don't want to go for a walk into the forest with you blokes after the fight for winning and only you blokes walk back. They looked at me and said, what do you mean, Peter? Oh, yes, walk into the forest and only ask for. Very funny, Peter. You're a funny guy. No, please try to win the fight. We want you to try to win. No, we're not going to do anything. I get to walk in on you. They like, I'm from Sydney. All by myself. Good to be. And I was like, anyway, so that was a crazy fight, and I beat him.
Yeah.
He was, he's a Sambo world champion. And at the time, he was, easily one of the top 10 in the world heavyweight.
How was he after the fight, though, when you beat him? Was he all right?
Yeah, he didn't give a fuck.
Really?
Didn't give a fuck before, didn't give a fuck after. Just, he's just...
did he talk to you after or didn't talk?
No, didn't talk to me before, didn't talk to me after. Just barely made eye contact. It's like...
And that's it.
He just, like, I don't care who you are, if you're breathing or don't breathe. He emanates, resonates. You feel that he's a bad person. And I don't get that. I've met some allegedly pretty bad guys.
Yeah.
But he has this feeling of it's like you're not a nice person. But there's, you meet some guys and you go, you're bad as shit, but they're nice to you.
Yeah.
You go, yeah, I met him. He's really nice. No, he's not. But he was really... I don't know, there was something about him that was just off-putting. But everybody else there were all, all involved in that world. So, I was under no, there was no danger or threat to me from him other than in the ring.
Yeah.
That they had slanted, the referees and everything. They wanted him to win. I mean, when I walked out, it was a... And everyone sitting at the table was like, they got this.
So a bit like Rocky IV.
Exactly like that.
Yeah.
Not only was it it was crazy actually. You can see the fights on YouTube. Is that when he started to lose the fight, the Russians started to cheer for me. I'm like, these are people also. Russians love combat sports.
Yeah.
And it's also the only place I've ever been that you go to the fights one night and fight, and the next day, like when I was in St. Petersburg, we went to what do you call it, the museum, And I saw dozens of people who were at the fights. I said, this is awesome. This is my country. I love this place. You know, they love combat sports and martial arts, but they're educated and they like music and dance. I mean, it's like, this is cool. But they, I lost my train of thought. What's happened is, where was it? We had the fight. Oh yeah, the Russian people started to go for me. They started cheering for me because, you know, he was slow to get up, and they're like, you know what? They really respect, and you find this a lot in Japan, also when you fight, is that they respect that you got gumption.
Yeah.
You know, they respect if you know you have a go, and you know you turn up, and it's like they're gonna put everything and lean it their way so they can win.
Yeah.
But if you get over them, which is kind of combat sports, right? Don't go in it if you're expecting everyone to have a fair go. You know, it's not under 12, netball. It's, you know, a bunch of really, really, really bad guys with a whole bunch of other bigger, badder guys trying to beat the fuck out of each other in places for people who might have some kind of slight mental illness because they find it really interesting. You know, it's not a game. You don't play combat sports. You know, there's no analogy to it.
What injuries have you got from it?
None.
You've had no injuries from it at all?
No.
No dislocations, no broken bones?
No, never broken a bone, never dislocated anything. Yeah.
Fuck, that's lucky.
We get hit hard. You hit so hard. Yeah, I think it's lucky. I think it's also genetics, but also I think it's the style and the way that I fight. You know, there's some guys always say you're too tough for your own good. Or you can take a punch from anyone. I said, well, that's good if you're having 3 amateur fights. But, you know, anyone who's had anything over 20 fights, if you're standing there taking a punch, it's really bad for you.
Mm.
You know, it's, you know, your brain is in there, and it's just, even if you don't get knocked out, you know, taking lots of punches, I mean, besides, you know, you're going to end up looking like a smashed crab. I mean, lots of MMA and jiu-jitsu guys now like to have bad looking ears because it's like,
Yeah.
you know, or wrestlers and stuff. You know, it's kind of a thing. But apart from that, there's so many physical damages you can beat. I mean, you don't stay around in combat sports for very long if you're, you know, taking a hiding every time. And it comes back to haunt you. You know, you don't see it so much because we really look after fighters now compared to, you know, 50 years ago. But, you know, we used to meet an old boxer and go, oh, that guy's punchy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man, yeah, I'm a fighter, man. I had 100 fights and I'm the national champion. And I said, I'm like, I don't want to be like that. I'm struggling enough already.
Anyway, but before we go on, take me back before that then. So I want to know, because you were in the cross from bourbon and beef, yeah?
Yeah, the bourbon and beef steak.
Rogues, DCMs.
Rogues,
Right,
DCs.
so take me back to them before you became all this.
Well, even before then, it was the Coogee Bay Hotel. And, you know, when I was a little kid, the Coogee Bay Hotel, this might even before, you know, maybe anyone interviewed in Australia, used to have all the bikers up and down the main street, park their bikes, and it was really bad. And people go, oh, Coogee, oh yeah, you've got a nice place. Coogee was a shithole full of housing commission and, you know, drug dealers and, you know, alcoholics, and, you know, it was a pretty rough area. When I was working there in the Coogee Bay Hotel, you know, they still didn't have, you know, cameras and mobile phones. And, you know, Dawn would be beating the crap out of people. And
I remember the first time I went to Coogee Bay, I had a lot of blues in there.
Yeah, well, so many. You know, people smashing each other in faces with schooner glasses. You know the chairs you get in most pubs and stuff. You know, really solid one. You know, people smashing them on the back of people's backs, and you know, we change the pool cues every week. Every week. Because it was like, why do we still have pool cues in here? Can't we have ping pong or something less dangerous? Why don't we just fucking play baseball?
So how long were you there for?
I actually worked at Coogee Bay Hotel. I'm pretty sure it was about 3 years. And I always used to do the graveyard shift because I was still amateur then. And I thought, if I can have the same shift all the time, I could regulate my sleeping so I could train enough. So I used to always do that. And it was a very crazy place. And then once I moved to a place called once I started training at this place in Randwick called Black Belt Pro, a mate of mine called Jason Daly, who used to be the head doorman at DC's, he goes, oh, what are you making at the moment at the door there? And I was like, I don't know, $23 an hour. He said, well, want to make some more money? I'm like, yeah, I want to make some more money. So why don't you come work at the door at DC's with me? So I started working at the door at the DCs. And it was okay for a while until, like, for me, I wanted to be a fighter. I didn't have any hang-ups about being a tough cunt. I grew up in refuges. I was like, you're either going to get shit all over and your life is terrible, or you got to look after yourself. And so I wasn't drawn to try to be anything other than what I was. I wanted to fight. And I knew if I fought, and if I didn't get to jail or I didn't get in trouble for doing anything stupid, I thought, through sheer determination and will, you're in with a chance as a fighter. And I fought, not once or twice a year. I fought all the time, even as a pro. On average, for 17 years as a pro, I fought every 2 months. Like, that's a lot of fights. But I'm like, this is it, man. This is my chance. This is my, this is my way out of being some nobody. It's just like, you step into the ring and the guy go, well, what's he fighting for? He wants to be cool, wants a belt, wants a hotter girlfriend. I didn't care so much. I mean, I wanted the titles, but the titles meant that if I had that, I could go to the next one. I mean, like every other guy, basically, of course I wanted, a pretty girlfriend, something, but the thing that I wanted is that I wanted out. I was sick of being a nothing and nobody. I will kick and punch and knee and fight who's ever they put in front of me until I get what I want. And I just did it again and again and again. I was pretty lucky I had a manager as an amateur because her name was Lucy Tui. Rest in peace. Good manager. And she was Polynesian from New Zealand. So we had lots and lots of guys from New Zealand I could fight in Australia, and most of them Polynesian. Because if you're a heavyweight in Oceania, it's just Tonga, Samoa, Rarotongas, Maoris. They're bigger than most people most of the time. So I had lots and lots of fights, but I said yes to every fight.
Did it affect your working on club tours though? Like,
no, well, I was lucky. Also, my best mate, a guy called Tony Dow, he owned a security company as well. So a lot of times I was working for his company as well. And he was like, if you need the night off to go and fight, it's cool. So even if I was even as an amateur, I was going over to New Zealand and fighting every now and then. He'd go, just take the weekend off.
Did you practice on any punches coming in? Like, sparring? When you get that edge, I used to get that edge on the door when I was like, fuck, I haven't had a fight for a while. I need a fucking blue. So I used to...
you sound like you're working at really nice places.
But I used to do that on DCMs. I used to find some country just want like, oh, fuck, this cunt's here. Look at him with the rats there. I'm going to have you tonight. You know what I mean? That's what it used to be with me.
Yeah, but for me, it was the other way around. I'd be like, okay, I've got a fight coming up. How can I not hurt my hands hitting someone? Because he's going to get me nowhere or in trouble. And if I beat that guy coming up, I can have the next fight. So my goal was always, I got to fight. And I'll be like, if you want to fuck with me, look, you call me a dickhead, it's okay. That's okay too. But if you're going to try to actually have a fight with me, I'm really pissed off because A, I don't want to go to a police station for 6 hours trying to explain myself. And two, if I hurt myself for you, even me hurting you, and I can't fight, I'm going to be fucking really angry. Look, leave me alone. Like, oh, you're fucking scared. I said, no, I'm not scared. I just want you to go away because I don't want to hurt you. I said, leave me alone. Like, they don't get it. They go, yeah, I gotta show this bitch. You're not going to show me. And so I used to work on the door with a guy called Justin Crawford. He was a middleweight, probably the best amateur boxer Australia's ever produced from Tasmania. And I was like, it was closer to middleweight. And like, that guy, that little kind of funny looking red-haired guy, he will punch fuck out of all of you, let alone me. And, so I was actively trying not to get into fights. I remember one time at the Coogee Bay Hotel, this guy's, was trying to put it on me. He's going, oh, fucking hell. I said, fuck off, leave me alone. He goes, oh, you think this is, and this guy pushed it, just shoved him, 2 hands in the chest, fuck off. He's going, ha. He goes, you're fucked now. He goes, my dad's a lawyer. I'm going to fucking sue you. I'm going to call the police. You're going to be fucked. You're going to ruin your life. I said, are you serious? He goes, yep, you are fucked. You're going to go to jail and everything. I said, just for shoving you? He goes, yep, you're going to jail. My dad was going to massacre you in court. Yeah. So well, I better beat the fuck out of you then because I'm not going to jail for it. So what? So I'm going to fucking catch her and beat the fuck out of you because if you say he's that good and I'm going to get in that much trouble, I haven't done anything yet. I'm not going for nothing. And the guy shit himself and fucked off. But there was all of those, there's that kind of fuckwit. And then there's, the belligerent drunk. Yeah. And then the ones that I always found the funniest is the ones who felt intimidated, so they go get on the gear and they come back and they're geared up to the fucking eyeballs. Except that 6 months ago he was 30 kilos lighter, and he's like, oh, I'm fucking big now. I remember one guy, he's put it on me, and he's drunk, not really drunk, but drunk enough to go, I'm gonna fucking have a shot at the champ. He knew who he was. He knew who I was. I was still an amateur. He goes, oh, you fucking think you're a bit of a sick cunt, don't you? I go, I don't think I'm anything. I think I'm standing on the door and I get to go home in 3 hours and I'm going to go home and bang my really good-looking girlfriend. So if you could just shut up and leave me alone there. And he goes, oh, fuck, and he threw a big haymaker. Always the same thing, right? Big haymaker, duck under it, spun around, put him on the ground. So, hey, look, just go away, leave me alone. You get hurt. And he goes, oh, sorry, I just had a bad day. So, yeah, man, whatever. And then he's walked off. I know what's wrong with people because I wouldn't pick someone, but I wouldn't pick me. Anyway, so he turned around and he came back and he's gone, hey, you fuckwit, you let me up, you fucking, that's because you're scared. Hold on, just fuck off. And he's trying a big over haymaker again. I've gone, boom. I punched him once, I wasn't fucking, just punched him in the chest, right in the middle of the chest because I knew it would be shocked. And he's going, oh, I put him on the ground. I said, look, you fucked, leave me alone. I said, fuck, I don't want to be fighting with you on the door. I just want to stand here and, do whatever I'm going to do, not talk to you because you're a fucking idiot. Anyway, so by that time his girlfriend came out and she's like, both of you. I said, take your boyfriend away. Well, you shouldn't do that to him. What did I say? Tell him to walk down the street and we don't have a problem. Anyway, mister, don't you know how great I am because now I've got on the gear. Fucking threw another haymaker again. I fucking ducked under it again. It was my grandmother could have ducked it. I put him on the ground. I got really close to his ear and I said, hey, isn't it fucking sad? Even with all the gear, you're still a little fucking bitch and can't fight for shit. You are nothing. It's pretty fucking off. And I just kept going. He burst into tears. Ah! He stood up and walked off crying. His girlfriend said, what did you say to him? What did you say to him? But it's like, what do you do? I mean, if you beat the crap out of them, especially guys like that, they don't get it.
Yeah.
They don't get it. And then, it's like, there's big guys on the tour like you and me, and Tongans and Samoans and stuff like that. And then there's the little guy. And somebody will harping off and go, what do you fucking reckon that little guy standing on the door and everyone else is massive? Do you reckon it's because we like him? Have a look at it. Because he's always a weird person, right?
Yeah.
They're never like, hey, good to see you. They're always like, it's like, settle down, man. He's just here. It's like, so fucking let me get him, man. Let me just settle. Because they're always says, that little guy is the meanest person on the door. The one who's the scariest looking, the big, Samoan who's, 7 foot, 200 kilos.
Yeah.
He's the nicest guy. Don't annoy him either, because if he hits you, you'll wake up dead. But the little guy, he will just hit you for looking at him weird.
That's true.
And you work on enough doors like that. It's, after a while, you're like, you just see the types. Everyone just fits into one of those categories.
But you're so right about with the guys coming back about 6 months later, because we used to get it all the time at DCs. All the time.
Yeah.
They come over and the shirt's buttoned down halfway down their stomach because they want to show the new chest that they've got and everything like that, and it's pumped up and and they're ready to say you and me now. That's it. You and me, come on, step out. That's it.
It's like it's not a movie, man. You've been misled by the Italians in the movies in America. It's not the way it's like I told guys I spend so you're spending all your time either coked out of your head or, getting the gear and get in the gym pumping weights. I spent all my time dealing with fuckwits like you or fighting. Just fighting, nothing else. There's like, not that any of them fucking listen. So, it doesn't take very long before you just go, whatever.
So what year were you there?
Let's see. 2000, I think I started... 2000.
Because you did Rogues too.
2001, 2002, maybe 2003. Yeah, then Rogues, across the road.
So you went from DCs to Rogues?
From DCs to Rogues. I think I went from... there's a few kind of... Well, DC and Rose were, obviously,
Yeah.
the two, both of those clubs were violent. I think
Rogues was a bit worse because they were all the people who couldn't get into DCs would go there.
Yeah. And what happened was there was a shooting.
Yeah.
And they needed some new doormen. So my mate called me and said, "You want to come and help us out? We need a kind of."
Oh, so you went there after the shooting?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So all right. Yeah. Okay. Because the shooting.
So it was me, Tony.
So
Dow.
just as you left, then I went to DCs then because I was there just after the shooting at DCs.
All right.
Yeah. So I went to DCs.
So Billy Massey must have been just after.
You
must have been before Billy.
Yeah. No.
After.
Because I was there with a Samoan Pat.
Oh yeah.
Pat.
Not particularly big for us.
Nah, he wasn't.
Yeah.
He was pretty small, but he always wore his hats and his big jacket, make him look big. But yeah, that was good times. That was good times. So your dad worked in the cross too, yeah?
Yeah, my dad used to work on the Pink Pussycat there, and there's one of those grey area jobs. Like what do you call it? Unadvertised job. Beat the fuck out of people, or someone off, go around the back. And me and my brother used to have a Bedford van with the bubble windows. We used to sit in there and watch him beat the crap out of people.
Oh really? You used to watch him? Like you used to be in the cross while he was working?
Yeah, fucking oath. We sat in the back of the van and watched him, and then they used to have all the. They still got bikes there, but they used to be bikers then, and all the shenanigans and going up in the cross, and just sit there and watch him, and fuck, really, violent.
Was your dad as big as you?
Not as tall, so he was about 5'11",
But stocky.
but the same body shape.
Yeah.
And it's probably because he smoked so much. Basically smoked cigarettes and pot from morning to night, all day, every day. And he smoked cigarettes from when he was 12. And he used to drink heaps, but before I can ever remember. But he gave up that to smoke pot. But I got told that when he was drinking, it was really, really violent. It was probably the reason why my mum broke up with him.
But was he violent on the door?
On the door he was.
Yeah.
They were all violent. Everyone was. It was really violent, and they just. It wasn't. It was. They just. Now
what year are we looking at here for him?
So, in the 80s, I guess it was.
Okay.
So I was about 10.
Maybe you just watching it in the van.
Yeah, we just sit there and watch it. Sometimes.
What, the whole shift, or you just
it was a Bedford van, so it had
okay.
it was like the 18 van.
Yeah.
So it had a mattress in the back and it had a telly in the back, and like we were pretty fucking macked out. It was a macked out van. It had the cool wheels and the big mural in the back with a what do you call it, like Conan the Barbarian holding a big sword. The woman in the leather bikini and all. It was one of those vans. That's what I guess. So but I remember one time we were there and the owner of the club at the time, or it might have been the club down the road, but I think it must have been a bit later on because I'm pretty sure. Like I was a little kid, so I might have the name wrong. It might have been George the Greek, the guy who plays all the gold, and he's going, hey, he's come out, and he's called us, he goes, hey, come and have a talk to me. What are you guys doing? And we're standing at the front of the club. This is a strip club with bikers and everything, walkers, the whole kind of, shenanigans that goes up in the cross in the 80s and stuff. And he goes, I got a present for you. I used to be able to get the digital watch with a flash pen in it, and he gave us that each, and we're wearing these watches and holding the pens, thinking we're a bit mad. He goes, why don't you boys come in and have a look at the show? We're like, oh yeah, great, let's go and have a look. I remember sitting there, and prepubescent little boy, and these girls were dancing on the stage, and these guys were mesmerised. I'm like, oh, these girls are really shit dancers. Why are they so interested? My mum was a bit of a hippie, so she never wore clothes. And she was good looking. She used to be a model, so she was a good looking lady. So I just figured, and my old man, when I would stay with him, he'd be always walking around naked too, and his girlfriends would be like, there's a lot of nakedness when I was a little kid, And these girls are going, and my mum, she went to.
You didn't carry that on?
No. It's enough nakedness. I'm not even sure my wife likes to see me naked. 20 years of the world had to see me half naked. I don't need to subject anyone to any more nakedness than they need. And I remember sitting there going, I don't get it. I do understand now why people can't. But it was a funny thing to think back then. It's like, no, they can't dance well. I was like, Pete, they're not there for the dancing, brother.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool.
It's a pretty funny environment to grow up in, and the craziest thing was, my mum lived in the northern beaches in Fairlight, and my dad, at that stage, lived in Randwick, which wasn't anywhere near as nice as what it is, but it wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. It was still a fairly nice suburb. But going into the Cross all the time was, then it was like King's Cross, shithole, people doing bad shit, only go there and expect it, as opposed to now you don't know where to go, which is really silly if you ask me. People are going to do and want to do stupid, crazy shit no matter what.
But seeing all that at a young age, you didn't get tempted to like, you're seeing your dad doing the doors, but
I seen my dad fuck up his life. He was the man. He was fucking big, had cool tats, cool bike, hot girlfriends, fucking who knows, and everyone thought he was the man, punched the fuck out of people. But by the time he died at 56, lived in a housing commission in Little Bay, which is right next to Long Bay Jail. No friends, no money. Only had one shit old bike. What's the word? Estranged from his kids, and I was like, fuck, I don't want that. Although you'd see, the bigwigs, they disappear. They go, what happened to so and so? Oh, Pete. No, like when you first say, I don't know. Well, he's either doing 20 or 15 years in jail or something. Life-altering jail sentence, which is, you ask anyone, even the biggest, baddest guys, they're like, well, it wasn't all fun.
Yeah.
Or they had to disappear and just, try to start a new life somewhere else. I don't know if you remember, it's like one of the guys who used to hang around, it was a great keeper, a guy called Mark May, had to disappear. And he was a, young, really good kickboxer and boxer, could have gone to the Olympics. And then the ones who died of drugs or alcohol or killed themselves, either kill themselves, intentionally or unintentionally through drugs and alcohol. I'm like, fuck, man, I don't want to be like that. But you know what? In saying that, it's not like I had any reason to think I was going to be any better than that. And my dad was that person. My older brother died of heroin overdose. The other one was, although I didn't know him so well, from what I understand, he ended up hanging himself, but it was because of drugs and alcohol. It's just like, I don't know, I need to try something else. I mean, I guess the other thing is that the stigma growing up around it as well is, I can't say, you know what, I'm going to follow my passion to be a dancer. And everyone goes, good for you, Pete, you're going to be a dancer. No, that's just not happening. Or you're not going to say, I'm going to get my act together and study. Even that was, you think you're a bit mad? Or you think you're going to go to university? Like, that wasn't even a comment. It wasn't even it wasn't a comment anyone would say to you. I went to 14 different schools. I used to write a diary because I didn't have anyone to speak to because when I lived in refuges. And my diary from when I was 16 years old, the writing and the spelling and the grammar, I still have it, is about the same as my 8-year-old daughter's. Now, after school, I worked my ass off to be able to read and write and, make myself, not a complete idiot, and study. And I'm grateful that I get to live in Australia and I'm given the opportunities I have to improve myself. But growing up, it wasn't like you're going to say, I really feel it's important to improve myself to become a better whatever. Even a trade was kind of almost, you're going to get a job just fucking digging holes and shit. It's like in the refuges that I grew up in, they were like preparing you, so this is what you do when you go to jail, if you get arrested, and if you have if you're going to use drugs, make sure you use this. Mate, the only class that I ever did well in at school was health. Because every time I moved to a new refuge, they give you all the information about STDs, drugs, sexual relationships, the whole thing. I'll sit down, miss, I'll take the class. It was ridiculous. So being a fighter was something everyone would go, because I used to move around a lot, I tried to make friends as fast as possible. and then like, oh, we're all going out. Two parts of it. To begin with, is, oh, we're all going to do this. And if I said I was almost going to do anything else other than go to the gym to learn how to beat the fuck out of people, it would have been seen as you're the other. But when you go to the gym and learn how to fight, they go, oh, no, he's going to be a fighter, man. So, oh, that's cool. Even football, any type of football, would have still been seen as not really okay.
But you know when you were sitting in the van,
yep,
and you were looking at your dad doing what he does and all like that, or if you seen him have a brawl with somebody, what was going through your head? What would go through your head as a kid? Like I know with my son, like he's read my book behind my back, so he's seen what's going on. He's Googled me and he's seen what I've done, and he now goes around thinking it's like I know he's only 7, but he goes around telling everyone in school that who I am. I'm now my dad's bodyguard. You know what I mean? And I'm doing this, and I'll kick your ass, and you know who I am. So he's talking like that now. You know, 7-year-old. But what was going through your mind and your head when you're seeing your dad sitting there, and everyone's looked like to everyone else in the cross, your dad's the man.
You know what? That was probably the only time I really felt proud, because I went, oh fuck, he's something. Like I always felt that I wanted something. I wanted to be a something. I wanted to say, hey, my parents this, or my dad's that, or my mum's this, and I always felt I didn't have anything. I remember going, I wish I could prove to people this is who my dad was. But I'd only go and live with my dad for a short while, and then he'd either drop me back on my mum's, or get dropped off at child services, and it was sporadic at most. Yeah. So, I went to Randwick Public, and then I went back to Dulwich Hill Public, and then I went to some other little school called Sunrise, and then I went from St. Cecilia's, which is a little Christian school or Catholic school, and then but then when I was 10, I'd actually moved back up from 9 or something like it was. I moved back from living in India, which is another whole other crazy story. When I was a little kid, so in like the matter of 2 years, from maybe even less, maybe from 8.5 to 10.5. Went to like 5 or 6 different primary schools, and back and forth from different places, people's houses, and it was. Did
you ever walk around the cross and everyone knew who you were because of your dad?
Yeah, they knew. Because
that would have been cool as a kid. Like go around the cross and everyone, like that's what it's like for my kids now. They all know, like when they walk around and they see someone, like we go to an area and they all know, oh, that's Neil, like this. And so
my kids get that with me.
Yeah.
Like they get that. But I had it more with my older brother, Matthew, who's dead now. And he was big and he was violent and he didn't fuck around, but they didn't know me. They knew me as, hey, you're Hogs' brother, aren't you? Yeah, I'm Pete. yeah, I know your older brother. And because we all kind of looked the same, every now and then, because I was only there for, with my old man, it was like that was when I was about 10, I guess. That was
brothers fighters?
No.
Could they brawl? No.
Oh, fucking hell, they could fight.
But they just didn't want. But
they didn't want to be. It was kind of funny. My brother Matthew, which is my full brother, he said to me once. He goes, "You know what? You're the only guy I would never fight." He goes, I wouldn't want to do it. I remember thinking, "You're fucking crazy." I was terrified of him. So I wouldn't fight with you. There's a guy who just.
Has he ever hit you before? Like you, bro? No. Never touched you.
No, but I've thrown bricks at him and horrible things, only because he pissed me off, and But but he he was a violent criminal. I mean, they locked him up for it. But he used to come back to me. You were saying, before I used to say one of the only excuses I'd have to go to the gym, with everyone running around, was I'm going to the gym, so I'd be okay. But when I was 18, I finally moved into a refuge that I could live longer, and he actually moved in with me. It was fucking awesome. I finally get to live with my brother, and I really feel, we were really close. But unbeknownst to me, he was still a heroin addict. And what he used to do was he goes, you go to the gym, you train, and I come back, and him and the other guys who used to hang around a bit, they'd all be gone. I'm like, this is fucked. You guys leave me by myself, and and I'll be tired, so I go to bed or whatever, and I'll get the next day or whenever I see him next. But how come you're fucked off? He goes, oh, well, it'll take it too long. What I found out later is he said to me, he goes, look, man, I was still using heroin. I didn't want you to fuck your life up. I fucked mine up. You know, by that time I'd already done a year's jail and, you know, been, you know, OD'd from heroin a few times, and, you know, he kind of didn't have a real good look at it. So he was, you know, he was a really cool guy. Heaps of people thought he was, you know, he was good looking and popular and all that stuff. And, you know, I really looked up to him. He was only, you know, a year older than me, but he seemed like, you know, 10 years older than me. You know, he'd been to, you know, all the, you know, boys' homes in Sydney, like Yasma and places like that. And he really was a tough cunt. It's kind of funny, like, you know, one time I was at a train station when we were younger, you know, I think I was still living at my mum's house, so I must have been 12 at the most, because I moved out permanently by the time I was 12. And I came back from the train station, and I got jumped at the train station by these guys who lived over the street, because we just always seemed to be fighting with them. And I kind of tried to walk past him, and he goes, "Hey Pete, turn around." I'm like, "Oh, I'm alright, that's alright." Anyway, he looked at me and goes, "What the fuck happened to your face?" I go, you know, the boys over the end of the street, they jumped me at the train station. He's going, "What the fuck?" I said, "I don't know." Well, I had it coming. I was giving him shit. You know, I was by myself. I go, "Fuck you, you little cunt." And then run off. Anyway, you go, "Fuck that." Went to the kitchen, pulled out the bread knife, walked down the street. He goes, "Come with me." I'm like, "Oh, fuck, here we go." There's like 6 or 7 of them, maybe 8 or 9. You know, there was always a bunch of them hanging out of the train. So fucking pull out that knife, go, "Look at." And they came over there, "What do you want, you little fucking little grubs?" He goes, "Fucking cut your head off, you touch my brother." I'm like, "Fuck, we're all gonna die." But he was fucking serious. He's like, just wasn't. I've never seen him scared of any other human being ever. When they locked him up, I said, "Well, what happened?" He goes, "Oh, because he got put into Long Bay to begin with, and because he was a violent offender, and he was a violent offender, but what we got charged for was what do you call it? Bank fraud."
Oh yeah.
But you know, he was just fucking like all this stuff when he was a juvenile, you know, so that was violence. But he was scared because he's only had any time. He goes, "Oh, I'm worried," you know. I go, "What are you worried about?" He goes, "Oh, you know, I was worried that I was going to get hurt or raped or whatever." And I go, "Yeah, fuck." And he got there, and one of the guys told him in the cells before they said, "You'll be all right." He goes, "Just anyone harks over, he said, don't say anything, just hit him." Sure enough, someone walked over and tried to put it on him, just boom. Turned around, walked off. Just nothing to say because I'm not with anyone. But you know, it didn't take. You know, he was fine. But when he got out, he said, "Fuck, never again."
Okay. Back to when you were in the cross. We'll go back to when you were cross when you were a kid.
When I was a kid, yep.
And you said you used to do a bit of running. Yeah.
No, my older brother Matthew did the running.
Okay.
That was when he was older.
Okay.
Well, you done so what I used to do. See, this is another thing. This is my brother always trying to look out for me.
But was your dad still on the door when he was running?
No.
Okay.
Well, he was still hanging out with the guys at the front of the door.
Yeah.
But he wasn't working on the door.
Okay.
So you know the north end of the cross, near the fountain, all the bikes there.
Yeah.
So he'd always be hanging out with them guys. I think they were just fucking, you know, like even then I was still fairly naive. I think they were just, you know, just drug dealing or, or just organising stuff like that. It's not no kind of, you know, big underworld thing. Because to be honest, by that time, you know, they just smoked so much pot and just, you know, and half of them, you know, they were grubs and they were losers and they were just kidding themselves. It was like, they weren't the ones running the show.
Yeah.
I think they used to always go, "Oh, this was our part for our bikes." They weren't running the show.
Yeah.
By that time, it had moved on. It was a younger generation of guys, and my brother was, running heroin for guys. But even though I lived at the refuge just around the corner, in the cross, he always seemed to find a way or get me to do something or something to keep me out of getting any real trouble. Which I'm thankful for. You know, I wasn't doing anything particularly one way or the other, but he just kind of kept me out of any real trouble, and he didn't let me fall in with the real bad cunts.
So you never got enticed by anybody while you were around there?
You know what? It wasn't that I got into. Either he was telling people, "Don't fucking talk to my little brother,"
Yeah.
because it was really obvious I was his brother because we looked really similar.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I just I didn't notice. I just didn't notice because I didn't want to be like them.
But he never got enticed by anybody?
My brother?
Yeah.
I fucking by everybody.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Oh, he was running heroin for the heroin dealers up there, and then he was doing some stuff for 14K
Well,
to the Vietnamese guys in Cabramatta. He was working muscle for them and stuff like that, and it was just like I guess when he was not a heroin addict, he was a bit more reliable, I guess. But he used to always try to. He was
But you never.
No.
No.
I you know what? If I knew the amount of money he was making,
You probably would have enticed.
I would have done it instantly. Because I was a broke ass nobody. The other thing I think it kept me kind of not falling into that is because I used to have to move so much. Because when you back in those days when you live in a refuge, there's two kind of types of people who live in it, right? There's ones whose mum and dads, are affected by drugs and alcohol, or they're put in jail, and there's three types of levels, right? There's crisis. Mum and dad don't live together, or dad beat the fuck out of mum. He went to jail. Mum's in hospital. We got to put this kid somewhere. Put him in a crisis refuge, or for whatever reason. And then if it goes longer than a couple of weeks, they put you in medium term up to about 3 weeks. And then after that, if they think that there's no one to care for you, they put you in long term, which is indefinitely. But from long term refuges, they put you in, you can be, what's it called? Foster families, foster home. And either stay with them or there's a few other different options. But you have to have either their parents get their consent taken away from them, they're in jail, or they're in a mental hospital or something like that, or the parent has to say, you know what, I don't want to look after this kid anymore, and then the government, really steps in to look after him. My dad was missing in action. They obviously couldn't find him or didn't care to find him, and my mum said no. So I just lived in medium length term refuges. So every 3 or 4 months, from 10 till I was about 20, I'd move. New place, new school. Sometimes I could stay at school a bit longer. And you just move all the time. So I never fell in. Like I'd see you and a whole bunch of boys, I go, fuck, these guys are making money or this. But I'm the new guy. So you don't really fall in that quick to be able to get involved with people because they're not just letting some random kid in. Even though I was big, I was athletic, and I would have fucking jumped at the opportunity. You don't get invited into a club or a gang that quickly. And then I move again. Yeah. So I never really had any time to make close enough bonds with anyone. And because we didn't have mobile phones or anything, or even email, you don't really keep in contact. So it's kind of crazy to think for like over about a 10-year period, I had no permanent contact with them. Every now and then because I go into the cross or I get kicked out of the refuge, so I go and I'd see my brother. I go, hey man, what are you doing? And we'd hang out for a bit. But he always said to me, especially at that stage, he was like, I didn't want you to end up like me. So he goes, it was safer for you just to go back to the refuges and stuff like that. So that's what I did. I just always went back and, I tried on a few occasions to go live with my old man, but, he was, in a tiny little housing commission flat and, get a new girlfriend. So, to go. Yeah. It wasn't horrible about it. I guess he was. When you think about it, like if it was most people, you go, oh, geez, the old man said what? Like, you and I both have kids, I can't think of anything further from my head to say to my kid, see you later. Yeah. But people all the time say, I'll do anything with my kids, but they won't give up smoking, drinking, drugs, beating the wife, whatever. But I'd literally do anything with my kid. It's far more important. I'd work my ass off, save my ass, not do anything, just so my kids can live a better life than I did. I work hard on my relationship with my wife. I work hard to, keep my business. I work hard on improving my business and exploiting my good opportunities and, be fit and healthy and try to say the right thing around my kids. Go, just But when I see it, when I think, I always say a good thing for your parents is if your parents were the same age as you right now, would you let them come into your home? Would you be actively say, I want these people as my friend? And my answer is fuck no. They were, self-entitled, egotistical, drug addicts, or just didn't care. It's not the person, I want to be. So
you still feel like about your parents? Like you still got yeah?
Old man's dead. My mum's alive, but I don't,
No interest?
No.
Have they seen your kids?
My dad died before I met my wife. My mum has met both my daughters, but the last time that she met, she was belligerent and threatening physically to my wife. So I just said, see you later. It's not like she's got any excuse. It's not like she takes drugs or drinks or anything like that. And she comes from a great family. She just disassociated herself from her family.
Do you find that's hard because you didn't have an upbringing with a proper, your dad wasn't there all the time for you. Your mum wasn't there all the time for you. So is that hard for you? Do you find you're lonely sometimes because you never had that? Or do you find that it's hard sometimes in situations with your kids and your missus? Like, I find it hard sometimes with my kids because my parents weren't there. They disowned me at a certain time. I've had no one to speak to for the past 15, 16 years. So sometimes I have to talk to myself, like you used to write in your book. So I talk to myself in a park or a beach to find my problems, to suss them out. Now, do you find sometimes in situations when your kids are being, misbehaving, or they've done something wrong, how to approach them because you remember how your father approached you? You know what I mean?
Absolutely, exactly the same on both accounts, which is really rare because I remember, I've had times where I say to my missus, fuck, I don't know what to do. Like, how the fucking, she goes, it's not you, Pete. It's not, you didn't grow up like that. It's different. They don't see your point of view. And I go, yeah. And when it comes to that loneliness feeling, yeah, it's fucked. Like, it's like, fuck, I only ever value myself on being famous. If I win more fights, I'm more famous. If I step into the ring and I create fear and say all those fucking titles, all those belts, it's almost like building an imaginary wall. Say, see, I am good. I have these arguments in my head with people who never argue with me. People don't argue with us, unless they're fucking stupid. But in my head, someone go, you're nothing, and I'm like, no, fucking, I'll show you. I'll win it again. I'll fucking go again.
You always had a demon on one side. That's what I had. I had a demon on that side, but something also trying to be positive on this side. But the demon was always winning with me.
Yeah. Well, the thing that helped me the most was fighting. That's why, I told this to someone just the other day. I said, there's a reason I had a fight every 2 months. This as a pro. As an amateur, it was even more. As a pro, every 2 months on average for 17 years. Because I start to, not see the good in myself anymore. I feel shit. But I go in a ring, I go, you know what? If I kick and punch and fucking fuck this bag up and you want to spar, I'll fuck you up. And you know what? There was someone else like Mark Hunt on the other side. If you've ever read his book or anything like that, you realize he was going through similar but different shit. And we'd beat the fuck out of each other and do it again and again. And then when I step in the ring with us, I say, you want to fuck with me? I'll fucking go for a smile at me, laugh at me, say whatever you want, because I'm going to beat the fuck out of you. And then I come back and any other person from your gym, I'll do the same fucking thing and I'll do it again. And give me the biggest, baddest, meanest motherfucker you can find. I'm happy to jump in the ring with him. Because when I win, it made me feel better about me. I'm like, look, I got the title, I got the money, I got the belt. All those girls like me, all those guys are fear of me. It made me feel powerful. But then, because it's bullshit, right? Because I didn't actually fix anything in my head.
Well, that's the same feeling I had when I used to go to work in the cross every night. That's what I used to take in. Yeah. And that's how I used to fucking cope with my fucking loneliness and depression because, mine wasn't as bad as yours because, you've had to go to refuge and get put around on different homes. Whereas I was a teenager, like coming into my, 18 and upwards when my mum disowned me and all like that. So, but it was hard because to come over to Australia and you come over with a family and then you think, and then all of a sudden you're just kicked out because of who you work for. And then I was told, you work for John Abraham, or you either stop working for him or you pick your family. And I said, well, I'm not going to stop working for it, because at the end of the day, it's like if I was bodyguarding the Prime Minister, it's the same shit. You know what I mean? I don't look at what he does. But then she said, well, if that's the case, from that day, you're dead to me. You're not alive. I buried you. And I said, is that right? She said, yeah. And then she told my sisters and my brother the same thing. He is dead from us now. And that was back in 2007.
Yeah, that's hard.
So, you know what I mean? But mine was not as bad as you, because at least because you've grown up with nothing, from the age of how old were you? And you had to...
Well, we started, the first time we got dropped off child service was 10.
10.
But my mum left me in India.
Yeah.
In a fucking hippie ashram when I was fucking 8 for a year by myself, or 9 months or whatever.
But I still felt lost as a teenager in early 20s. I still felt lost because I just got, my family's gone. And I've got no one here. Yeah. And now I have to rely on friends who I didn't really know. Are you my friend? Like, can I talk to you about something? I was always scared to go to somebody to talk to with these problems.
Man, I hear you, man. Except I was like, I didn't have any friends. Didn't have any relatives. I'm like, just kept it inside. Didn't have anything. I was like, fuck, I don't know what to do. And the other thing is that I didn't think that I was worthy enough of anyone. Why the fuck would anyone give a fuck about me? I got nothing. I wasn't a good looking kid. I wasn't like, I wasn't like the cool.
But I felt ruffian. I was vulnerable by talking about this to somebody because of who I
was.
Oh,
absolutely.
So you wouldn't talk to even like you thought was your best mate, but then is he going to go and tell everyone in the cross what fucking Neil just said to me? And then I'll go, fuck. And then everyone just goes, fuck, he's not a hard cunt. Look, he's a soft cop. You know what I mean? So I didn't tell anybody, and I wanted to, and it was
really funny that you're saying the same thing, but something slightly different.
Yeah.
Like the way you deal with it, or the same emotions and feelings. I totally get that, because on one side of me, I'd fight fucking weapon after weapon after weapon, and the other side of me is like, you were saying, like the little demon almost saying, who the fuck are you? You're not a real fighter. When I went to Mundine's gym, I was the only white guy there. It's like, what, are you fucking lost? You're not Aboriginal. Like, I grew up in the era where everyone who was anyone was a black guy.
Yeah.
Run MC. Mike Tyson, Michael Jackson. Who started off being a black guy. All the greatest athletes and everyone. And all the fighters. Like Lionel Rose and guys like that. They were all the tough guys. They were all the talented guys. They were the cool guys. And who was I? I'm a big white guy who looks like a fucking cop. You fucking lost? He's a Redfern, man. This is fucking, go back to Vaucluse, you fuck. It's like, and I'm like, fuck it, man. It's like, I just got used to being like, fuck it, I got me. I just learned to back myself. And every time that little demon said, you're nothing, I go, yeah, but I'll fucking outwork you in the gym. And if you want to spar, I'll stand in front of you and you and your mates can all fucking laugh at me or whatever. And by the end of it, you'll go, oh, you know what? That guy fucking actually is pretty fucking good. And, like, I remember this guy from, I don't know if you might remember, there's a guy called Phil Fagan. He was a heavyweight kickboxer from England. He immigrated to Australia. He was all over the front cover, really good looking black guy, shredded and everything. And as an amateur, I fought him and I beat him in Melbourne. And everyone said, oh, it was a fluke, he was sick and all this. I'm like, fuck that. I beat him. I beat the fuck out of him. Anyway, so as a pro, I had a rematch with him. And I stopped him in the second round. He retired after that. I was like, well, just because he's a black guy from England and, he looks more the part than, some, I can look like a, middle class white kid. Because I don't look like your, perception of a shitty life was, or someone who's a fighter that I can't fight. So I'm like, all I was doing that, and all the Greeks and Italians in Melbourne, they were great fighters, and everyone knew it. Like, oh yeah, they were cool. And in Sydney, is Polynesians and Aboriginals, and and in Queensland, they had the white guys, but they were all the Thai boxing guys. But I'm not from Queensland, like John. And so I was like, fuck it, fuck you, fuck them, fuck these guys. But I just said, if this guy's good and he trains every day, I'm going to train 3 times a day, because I didn't actually believe that I could be as good as him. I just kind of put it to the side of my head and just try to forget how shit I felt about myself. And I just went, I'll go to work. I worked as a doorman. And if anyone tried to fight me, I said, like I was saying before, I said, I don't really want to fight you because you're not going to get me anywhere. I said, to myself, I was like, it's almost my lack of self-confidence spurred me on. I'm like, Pete, you're not going to be good at a bunch of things. Pete, you're not going to make a whole heap of money. No one gives a fuck about you. You can't be good at everything. You'd be lucky if you're good at anything. So pick fucking one thing and work your ass off. And that's what I did. I said, I'm only going to do one thing. I wanted to do other things. I liked other things. I'm really interested in lots of things now. I thought, there's no way that you're going to have to be really good at that, really good at that. So you're not cool enough or rich enough and no one gives a fuck. Just pick something. Because as a fighter as well, I knew that if I just fucking knocked him out, doesn't matter if, you're the promoter didn't like me, they're the judges didn't like me, he was the ref, he didn't like me, but if I knocked him the fuck out, guess what? I get to go up that little ladder again. And that's the beauty of being a fighter. Any problem I had, just put my fist in. And that's what I did. I fought full contact karate, ran out of people to kickbox, so I started boxing. When I went to Japan, I was a pro. I ran, K1 went under, fine. I'll start fighting MMA. Who do you want to fight? Give me whoever. Oh, Fujita. Are you serious? Yeah, fuck, why not? It's a fight, I can fight, let's go. Tapped me really quickly because, he's one of the best grapplers in the world. But the point is I'll do it. What everyone else was too scared to do or didn't want to do it or protect their record, I said, fuck it, let's go. My MMA, I lost, win, lost, and then I fought Alexander Emelianenko, Sasha Emelianenko. And people are like, are you crazy? So I'm not crazy. I fucking work my ass off. I'm only just losing. I said, but if I don't beat someone who's really good, I'm never going to make it. And that's kind of always been the way I am. I'll just outwork everyone else. And in my head, it can be going on saying, oh, you're fucked, you're not good, you're not this, and that. I go, fuck it. I'm hearing that, but I'm just going to keep going anyway. I don't know why. It's like, what the fuck else have I got to do? No one was like, hey, Pete, you can do it. You're something special. That wasn't happening. Happens a bit now, which is really good.
So when you turned 20, that's when you started doing martial arts, or karate?
No, I started karate at 18.
18?
I started kickboxing at 21.
So when did you go to the Philippines?
Thailand.
Was it Thailand?
I have been to the Philippines, but didn't do anything.
So what's the 5 million bribe cash that you got? Or what was given? No? There was a 5 million cash bribe in the Philippines. No? You sure?
No, you may be thinking about. This is a great story. This wasn't me. So when I was in Japan, I was looked after by a Yakuza boss, great guy. And of course, Yakuza bosses in Japan aren't what you think they are. Like they're not running around chopping people's pinkies off. In Japan, the whole country is Yakuza from the bottom right up to parliament. And I'm not Japanese, so it's really hard to really understand it. My knowledge of the language of Japanese is also very rudimentary. Anyway, so call him the boss. He said, okay, we're taking a team and we're all going on a holiday. We're like, yeah, where are we going? We're going to the Gold Coast. Japanese gangsters love the Gold Coast. Anyway, so I just had a fight and I got paid in cash and I had my bankroll. It was a good sized bankroll. I thought it was pretty good. It was like, what was it? 20K? It was like US dollars, $100 bills. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm fucking killing it. And, I may or may not have accidentally showed it to the boss. I shouldn't say his name. Anyway, and he's gone through his translator, who's always with him. He's always got a couple of guys with him because he's serious fucking Yakuza. And he's going basically, he said, hey, Pete, what's that? He goes, oh, that's my bankroll. He goes, oh, yeah? He said, bankroll? He goes, yeah. He goes, you want to see my bankroll? And he had a Louis Vuitton, like a bowling bag, they're about yay big.
Yeah.
And it was just full of cash. I go, what the fuck is that? He goes, oh, I'm going to the Philippines and I've got to buy this mountain. And this is for all the bribes I've got to hand out to people to make sure it gets done. Oh, fuck. It was crazy, yeah. Really? So he just had a bag full of cash. It was like 90% US dollars and I think the other currency must have been the Filipino currency at the time.
Fuck. I could meet this bloke. Where the fuck would I go? What the fucking hell?
Oh, mate, by the time he was 40 years old, he told me, he owned 500. Now, have you been to Tokyo?
No.
Have you been to Hong Kong?
No.
You've seen all the pictures of the apartments that all look the same. So those apartment blocks, he owned 500 blocks of those apartments, all rented out. One of his businesses, but his main thing to begin with was real estate.
Didn't keep in touch with him?
No. not through anything bad.
Oh, okay.
Just because he was going through, like, he wanted to immigrate to Australia, but because he really liked the Gold Coast.
If someone opens a bag, especially a Louis Vuitton bag full of cash, I'll keep in touch with them till I fucking die.
Oh no! Don't get me wrong. I mean, if I really wanted to get in contact with him, I probably could, because I know people who know him. But I think he was going through a lot of legal stuff in Japan.
Oh, okay.
And I was still fighting. And I didn't, he was kind of through
Dodgy.
his people saying, "Hey Pete, just for now."
He was dodgy.
Yeah.
So it wasn't good for your profile.
Oh no. I think anyone who thinks that the combat sports, anything in Japan, is not run by the Yakuza is a fucking idiot, or doesn't know what's going on. So they're all dodgy. I mean, but there's all combat sports in the world. In Russia, it's the mob.
Well, that's the next thing, because I wanted to ask you about the Russian mafia that you mentioned.
I think they prefer to be called the mob.
Okay, the mob. All right, sorry, fucking hell. I do apologise.
Me too.
There's a story about they tried to get a hooker for your wife.
So
not for you, just for your wife.
No. Well, this is I'll tell the story. So we're in Kranjadar. Kranjadar is famous for being the city with the most beautiful hookers in the world.
Okay.
And if you've ever been to almost anywhere in Russia, it's unbelievably beautiful.
They're in the army now, aren't they? Well, these hookers now.
Probably. Who knows where they are?
Go.
Anyway, so we're there, and there's some Dutch guys there. One of these Dutch guys, he's going bonkers, and he's like, "Man, these girls are so beautiful." He goes, and he goes, hey, because we all know who they are. So he's like, "Come on, can you get me a girl? Can you get me a girl?" He's like, yes, don't worry, we can get you a fucking girl. Just let's have today, and then we fight tomorrow, then we can party. So, but just wait. He says, "Oh, but you can get me." He goes, yes, of course we can get you a girl, man. He says, "Just calm down." He said, "Peter," because I'm standing there, and right next to me is my wife. He goes, "Peter, you want a girl too?" I said, "Mate," I said, "I'm smiling, going, I really get myself in trouble here." I said, "That's my wife standing there." She says, "Oh yes, so sorry, Sylvia, would you like hookah?" Like, fuck. He was deadly serious. He says, "Yes, how rude of me not to offer your wife hookah. This is the 21st century. Everybody wants hookah. Hookahs for everybody." And it was fucking hilarious. And I'm like, straight. I said, "No, thanks for no, we're fine. We probably get our own hookahs later on." Oh my god. And it was my wife laughed. Go, "What was that?" "Oh no, I thought we'd get a few girls and clean up around the place."
Oh fuck.
It's hilarious.
Oh fucking hell. Oh fuck, that's hilarious. I like that one.
Russians are great like that. It's like the way that they view things. It's like, it's all business, man. It's pretty black and white.
Fucking hell. There seems to follow you around with the hookers, because I'm gonna mention about this one. You said something about the K1, right?
Yep.
And what they could do for you, and apparently something about you can go in the back room with the strippers. So it seems to follow you around with the fucking hookers, the strippers.
Well, I mean, look, the thing is with combat sports, I mean, there's just there's loads of hookers around, because there's loads of gangsters around.
Yeah.
And there's lots of strippers around because they also own all the clubs. So there's so many after parties in strip clubs. It's not funny. But this particular story.
Well, I used to have after parties in nightclubs, not strippers. So, so yours are a bit different to mine.
It's combat sports, man. I just went where they told me to go. But this was in Roppongi in Tokyo, and there's a whole bunch of K1 guys after a massive K1 event, and we're walking up the street, and there's a strip club around the corner. We go in, and the owner comes out, and I thought, because there's a whole bunch of massive guys, the Dutch guys, they're all so tall,
yeah.
And the K1 guys, and I thought they're gonna think we're crazy Americans or something and kick us out. Anyway, comes in, he kicks out all the Japanese people. We go, oh, what? He says, oh, I love K1, please sit here. He's giving us drinks and everything. There's guys getting up on the tables and dancing with the strippers. There's guys going out the back and banging them, and it's just crazy. This owner was just like, this was his greatest day ever. He's like, I don't care. So I don't need to make any money. I just want to hang out with K1 guys. Yeah, Japan was out of control, man. If you're in K1 and Pride, it was a different set of rules for us than everyone else.
Oh.
It was lots of really fun times. I mean, we just, the guys who are in K1 and I was in Sengoku, not Pride, which is it was like the new Pride. And any of those guys, if you were there for more than 2 or 3 shows, and you could keep it up, you got to go lots more. So you'd always see the same guys. Hey man, go. Well, I think we're gonna beat the fuck out of each other next week, right? Yeah, man, good. I'll see you. But it was just one of those things. You just fight, and the Dutch, man. I love the Dutch. I've never known anyone to party like the Dutch, man. They just love to party, and they just go everywhere. Like, for me, I just love to fight, but these guys just love to party, and they were, some of the stories they tell, it's just crazy. You know who Bas Rutten is? Bas Rutten is one of the most famous old school fighters in the world, and some of the stories he'd tell, I'm not going to say because I don't. the Dutch, the Dutch, the Dutch bikers and stuff like that, and the Dutch underworld is far bigger than me, so I'll let them tell you stories. I'll give you their number after. But even in Holland, I remember once in Holland, I went there with Bob Sapp. Was another K1 fighter, really a famous guy, really funny guy. So he went to go and fight Peter Aerts, who's just like a god there, right? Anyway, we're in fighting in Amsterdam Arena, which is the what they call it, the spiritual home, so to speak, of kickboxing in Holland, right in Amsterdam. And we go there, and I get warned. They said this guy comes and goes, "Hey, P, how you going?" He's on full colours for the Hells Angels in Amsterdam. I'm like, "Hey man," he said, "Hey man, I love your fight with Badahari, and we're good fans." He goes, "Oh, cool, man." He said, "Oh, heaps of the boys are going to come watch the fight, and we really like you, but look, our sergeant at arms, for some reason, has got a bee in his bonnet. He doesn't like you." I go, "What?" I'd never met him. He goes, "Yeah, we know that, but I think from what I understand, from what I kind of gathered, is he really thought I was a tough guy because I knocked out Badahari, and he'd seen some of my other fights. He's gone, if I can show everyone that I'm tougher than this guy, that means, don't fuck with me in Holland."
Yeah.
And
he gets credit. Credit.
He gets some credit.
Yeah.
I could have just told everyone, said, "Hey, this guy's really tough. We sparred," but you didn't see it. Anyway, and he said, "But what he's going to do when you walk out, he's going to block the pathway that you're going to walk." And he said, "Just walk around him, because if he doesn't move and you move for him, it's like it'd be like putting you on show." And he goes, "You don't really care, do you? I mean, you're going back to Japan anyway, right?" I said, "Yeah, fuck, I don't care. I'm not trying to be a fucking gangster in Holland." He goes, "Yeah, cool." And he said, "Don't worry, it's not going to get how we all like you. It's just that he doesn't like you for some reason. Or he doesn't even not like you. He just wants to prove to everyone that, I'm like, "Okay." I said, "What does he look like?" "Well," he said, "it was a little bit shorter." And he goes, "But you'll see him because he'll be in all his colours." So yeah, sure enough, as we were walking out, running out, because shit's crazy with Bob Sapp. We ran out, and there he was there. I said, "Move, so I go out." And sure enough, that never eventuated to him trying to punch on with me in the middle of Amsterdam Arena. Some crazy stuff. And Bob Sapp was then worried about them going after him, so we went outside. We tried to get in a taxi, and Bob Sapp's about 6'6" and about 170, 80 kilos. So he barely fits in any vehicle anyway. And then we went back to the hotel room and had to kind of sneak out and get him on a first aeroplane out of there. And it was crazy.
Okay.
Good times.
Have you wrote a book yet? You haven't wrote a book yet, have you?
Huh?
Have you wrote a book?
Not one that I've released. I've written lots and lots of things down, lots of stories, and lots of things that I've done. So I remember.
You think you will?
Well,
no.
I've been asked.
I think you'd be more interested in a documentary.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. There's lots of fun things that happen and interesting things and ups and downs and turns and stuff like that. But who knows? Certainly something I've definitely thought about, and I've written, reams and reams and reams of writing about my life and what I've done and where I came from, and I guess it's one of those things that, like you were saying before, there's part of me and everyone's really, you should do it, man. Your stories are crazy, and there's the other part of me goes, who the fuck are you, man? You haven't done anything. Not really. Like,
yeah, I was like that when I done my book, but then I thought, you know what? I did it because every time I went out, I was getting stopped, and it was just like, Neil, tell me what it was like to work in the cross. Tell me what it was like to look after John. Tell me what it was like to do this. Tell me what it was like to do this. And I fucking thought, well, fuck me. Just fucking write a book so you can all fucking read it and fuck off and leave me alone when I go out. You know what I mean?
that didn't work out.
Nah.
I'm sure.
Because then you said, when's your next book coming out?
Yeah. I don't know, people don't stop. It's like, well, what I'll do? Yeah, no, that doesn't work. But you know what? I try to get the way I try to think of that is I thought, if there's one person who can read the book, or some people who read it or hear what I say and go, you know what? Even though things are shit right now, maybe there's a way to get better.
Look at Mark Hunt. All right, he wrote a book. It's a very interesting book. All right. So, but what I like, don't get me wrong. Like I wouldn't say it. But what you've told me and what I've known from what other stuff, what you've told me too.
Yeah.
It'd be an interesting fucking book.
Yeah, there's an argument for that.
You know what I mean? And I know there's stories that you haven't told me, and you could tell in the book. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, there's lots and lots
exactly.
of stuff.
But I don't know. I just thought anyway.
It's definitely not a no. It's I guess it's about putting together. I mean, also, it's not like I, have great education to put it all down. So I try to, write it down and come out with how to do it properly.
I use the dictaphone.
That's a good idea. Yeah, you can just do it on your phone now.
Yeah.
But I find that if I talk to you like this, I find it easy. But when I write it down, I find it a bit easier because I can think a little slower.
Yeah, but then when I was writing my book, I found that when I was writing it, instead of talking to record it, I wasn't writing my accent. So I was writing it going too clever, whereas when I talk like swear and fucking normal. But when I write it normal, it's like I'm missing out
taking
who I am.
Actually, that's a good point. Maybe I think I do that too, because I think I suffer from, I don't want to make myself seem like I'm stupid. So I write very correctly and nicely and stuff like that. Actually, that sounds like a good idea. Hey, look, maybe we can talk after and we'll see what you did and who knows.
All right, tell me about fucking hell. Like, what the fuck goes on with you? Like, for the last two ones, we've talked about strippers and fucking hookers. And now the next one is, tell me about Sydney Casino with some of the gangsters and apparently cocaine on the table.
Okay, so I think
orgies. Like fucking everything's following you around with fucking orgies.
But this is it. You know what? I think this is one of the things, right?
And hookers in this too.
There's fucking lots of them everywhere. Yeah, but it's never been my thing though. It's just like
You sure?
Yeah,
because it seems to be. Were you getting paid by hookers, or it's like I don't want a paycheck tonight. Just tell me the hooker.
But you know what? I say this to people. So it's like one of the things that my mom said to me that resonates true is she goes, "Be careful what you wish for, because you might just get it." And what happens when you become famous on the way up? And I'm sure it's similar to
everything gets thrown at you. Whatever you want, take.
If you like girls, there's more girls. If you like drugs, there's more drugs. If you like cars, they're better and faster.
Yeah.
If you whatever it is, and if you don't have the discipline, you get caught up, chewed up, and spat out. And I guess that's one of the things I always thought. You know what? I may not have all these other things, but I can say no fucking better than anyone. I can never become a drug addict or an alcoholic or fuck my life up, because I'm the guy who can go, you know what? Fuck it. I want to do this more than I want to do that.
Do you drink?
Yeah,
you drink?
I drink. But I could never become an alcoholic, because I go, you know what? I want to be, I'm the boss of me. I'm not a drug, not a person, not fucking anyone. And I just see people who control, when your body, whether you want to fuck, fight, or take drugs or whatever it is, takes control of your brain, you lose. But if your brain is in control of everything, you win. And that's it. You know, the more and more you see that, the more you see that people, they've all got the same mindset. You know, to begin with, another thing my mom used to say to me, and she used to say in a bad way, she goes, Pete, it's all about you first, you second, anymore you again. But I had to have that mindset growing up because that's all there was for me. It was me and me and me. But you know what? All these crazy things that happen, I'll tell you about the story in a second too. If I'd gone, as I'd gone up, because I didn't have anything, and all of a sudden, hey, look at this pretty girl, you know, I get to have sex with her, that's great. It's okay if it's one. Like, you want to be good looking enough to get one pretty girl, right? But, you know, for most guys, if you're too good looking, if two pretty girls like it, you're going to fuck it up. So you want to be cool enough or rich enough or whatever it is enough to get one pretty girl like it, then you could. But once two or three or four, you know, you can really fuck yourself up. So, you know, I was like, you know, I had a girlfriend, but that was good. And I went, I fucking always just kind of seemed to have a girlfriend. But I went, I didn't want to even give myself one iota of a thought to think that I was good enough that she was going to put up with me fucking other chicks. I never thought I was going to be good enough for me to party all the time and be a pro fighter, or drink all the time and be a pro fighter. I kind of used my own lack of self-confidence to keep me out of fucking, like in my head, I was like, Pete, if you're going to fuck with these guys, like I go and look and go, oh, well, that's good. And then I'd fuck off. Because I thought, you're not going to be able to say no. Your dad couldn't say no. Your brothers couldn't say no. Who the fuck do you think you are? You think you're going to be stronger than them? I like, fuck yeah, man. The amount of times I wanted to get obliterated and just go, fuck it. I mean, it's far easier to do that than what it is to go home and sit by yourself in some shitty fucking apartment you live in and go, I feel shit. Tomorrow I get up and go to the gym again. Like, I've been so sad and depressed and, you know, angry. Just go, I remember one time I went and it was, you know, I had a argument with my girlfriend, and instead of just going, oh, you know, people argue, I'm like, fuck it, she hates me, my life is shit. And I remember I just ran. And it was literally a cold, wet, middle of winter night, and I ran and my legs started to hurt. And the more my legs hurt, the more I was thinking about that, not everything else wrong. I ran and I ran and I ran and I ran, and I just kept running. And I remember when I got back, I opened the front door. The next thing I remember, I was just lying on the ground inside the door because I passed out. You know, I just kept going. I go to the gym, and I just, you know, skip flat out for an hour, and then I'd start training. And then I'd do the regular class or whatever, just so my brain would stop fucking with me. And, you know, I figured that something positive would come out of something negative. So when I went to parties like the one you're talking about at the casino, I got there, and there used to be two guys. I think it was pretty much after Danny Karam died.
Yeah.
There was like a void just before John Ibram, and a guy called Hesham. It was Big Hesh and Little Hesh. Well, kind of in the mix. I don't know, but they're in the mix. They're both dead now. Oh, sorry, I think Big Hesham's back in jail. And Little Hesh passed away in Thailand. Anyway, I said, hey, so I was working the door down at Subbies at Darling Harbour. I said, what are you doing, man? I said, oh, it was New Year's Eve, right? Working on the door. He said, oh, we're having a party, man. I said, well, I can't go now because I don't want to let my mates down working on the door. And I said, I'll come after. So I got there, and he said, okay, we're in the casino. They had their whole, you know, massive big suite, and all the Levos and all the Assyrian Kings.
Yes.
Not all of them, but
Yeah,
a great deal of them were there. And they, they walked in, you know, because by this time, a little bit of a name as a fighter. They're like, hey, the Chief's here, yeah, man. One of the guy walks up to me and says, hey, man, what's up? He said, we're partying tonight. And big as a tennis ball and a plays cocaine. He goes, there you go, man. Here's a plate. There's a microwave over there. I was like, thanks, man. I like put it down. I was like, you know, walking around, and then, you know, just kind of walking around. I open the door, and, you know, there's these guys fucking these hookers, and there's three girls, and there's two guys. Like, hey, it's the Chief, man. It's good, man. You want to come in, man? We're having a mad time. I said, yeah, man. I come back in a minute. I just kept. This party was completely out of control, and it was crazy.
Just on the level, right? That's
yeah, and completely. And they're super excited. Everyone's super nice to me. Like, yeah, the chief's here, man. Fucking cool. You know, because some of the Assyrian king guys didn't know who I was at all.
Yeah.
And they're like, who the fuck's this guy? Because I'm clearly not Assyrian. Otherwise, they don't. And I don't look even one iota Lebanese. You know, some Lebanese guys, like especially my mate Billy, doesn't really look Lebanese. Like looks like a big white guy.
Yeah.
But I don't even look even slightly or anything. So like, and then, no, it's okay. He's with us. He's really cool. I'm like, fucking hell. So, you know, walked around for a while, but too easy to get myself fucked up here. So I just stayed around until I thought everyone was, you know, smashed enough and wouldn't notice I left and left.
Oh, fuck. That's a classic.
But don't get me wrong. It's not like I was this, you know, like it wasn't going on in my head. There's always a battle in my head. Fuck, man, I want to do this. I can be cool. I can hang out with the cool guys. I can be the fucking man. Not only because everyone knows I can punch the fuck out of people, and these guys are the cool guys because these guys are going to turn up in Lambos with fucking, you know, super expensive clothes and sneakers and hot girls and all, you know, fucking really cool tattoos. And, like, I want all that shit too. But then I thought, man, if you do that, you know that you can't do that and that. And it's like, you're not fucking cool like those guys. Those guys, they don't really like you. You're not fucking Lebanese. You're not fucking Assyrian. You're not whatever I thought they were. It doesn't even matter if it was true or not true. In my head, that's how I thought it. It's like, you're not that guy. You're not going to be cool enough to, and then you want to lose then it was like, you want to lose the only thing that you've ever done any good at? You really want to fuck up? You're going to be a fuck up? And in my head, I'll be like, yeah, that's it. Go and do it. See how far you get. And I'll be angry because I want to go there. I want to have friends. I want to be the cool guy, you know. Finally, I'm getting invited to the cool parties and the cool people, you know, what I thought. But then I thought, no, I want something bigger.
So what's one word that describes you then you can think of? The one word to describe you.
Determined.
I would have said champ. You're a champ.
Thanks, man. That's a really nice thing to say.
No, because because you know, there's a lot of people I've seen through the years who've, you know, not as achieved much as you in that industry, but, you know, they're a bit cocky. And I can name someone, you've actually named one who I've met before, and he's a cocky cunt. But you're very down to earth, you know what I mean? And
I just, you know what I think? People say that about me a lot. They go, oh man,
but it's
you're
a
really
good thing
humble.
though, bro.
But I was always like this, you know. I say it's not like overly that I'm overly humble. It's just like,
you're like one of the lads. Like, you can go there, you know, it's not like where you have to be. You could go to the bowling club, you could go to fucking RSL. You're happy in yourself to do that, you know what I mean? Where someone else has got a fucking image because of what he's done in the past. I can't go to places like that, bro. You know what I mean? Or, you know, you look at places, or you look at someone like, I can't hang with you, bro, because, you know, look at me. This is what I do, and this is what you do, bro. So, you know what I mean?
yeah, it's a punish to hang out with people like that.
You know what I mean? So that, and you mentioned someone who's like that, and I've like who you've, yeah.
There's lots of people like that. I'm like,
oh yeah, I know.
Fucking,
but
it's really fucking annoying.
But I look at you as though you've achieved a lot. Like, you don't see it yourself, but I see it that you've achieved a lot, and there's a lot of people I know who, in that kind of sport, who'd love to fucking achieve that. Like, when I told this person, she's a MMA fighter. I don't know, she's Croatian, and ginger hair. She fights. She's going overseas soon. She wants to get. And I told her I was interviewing. She's fucking. It was like she worshipped you. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, fuck. You what, Peter Graham? Yeah. Oh fuck. I wish I could come down. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what that's the way it was, and it was like, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, and even sitting here, and I've seen you twice, speaking to you on, you know, in messages. You're the same person in a message you are right here. You're just humble. You are. You just.
I think it's just because, I appreciate. I know what it's like to have fuck all. And I know how hard it is to get anywhere. And I know how many people just don't make it. And I'm humbled that I get to be here, that I get to go and, you know, drive in a car that I don't get wet when I'm in the inside. You know, that I don't have to catch the bus. That people are nice to me. People know my name. That I get to go and live in a house that I don't have to move out of. Just simple. Like, I remember what it's like to have fuck all. And I remember having no friends. So I'm appreciative. Like, we like hanging out with you. Everything's cool. You know, and I always think people can fucking go, you know what, fuck you too. You know, people have choices. They're going to hang out with anyone they want. And, you know, and I really never liked the people who were like, don't you know how great I am because I got this? I go, shut the fuck up, man. You're a dick. You may have heaps of money, or you might have power, or you might be a great athlete, but you're still a dick as a person. You can't change that. I'm like, man, I don't want to be that. And I guess it's also, I always seen the good in others. And that was because when I was a kid, I wasn't good at anything. So I see someone else say, oh, wow, you can spell? Clearly, you're going to become a barrister. Oh, you can do math? Man, Stephen Hawkins, you're the next guy, but without the wheelchair. Like, I'm fucking really impressed. Like, you can dance? Oh, man, you're going to be a fucking, you're going to go all the way and be a superstar fucking rapper or something. I just thought, how can you guys not do well? You could read or write or dance or act or, or you could draw or whatever. So it just seems so easy. So, it's not a thing. I think I generally see people, I go, man, you're fucking cool. I dig that. I like the way you can do that. I like people. So, if that's what being humble is, I guess I am. But I just generally see most people are pretty cool. And people who act the other way are real fuckwits. And it gets really old and obvious pretty quickly as well. But in people's defense, I get that it's hard once you become famous to keep your head screwed on if you never had it before. Because everyone's telling you how great you are. All of a sudden, like, fucking finally. Yeah. Everyone's realised my fucking great. You know what? Always wanted to say, fuck you. Now I feel good. Because, they put someone else down to make themselves feel better. But, once their glory's, the shine's gone a bit, they go, remember me? Told me to go fuck myself. I was having a bad day that day. I hope you still feel fucked. You need a job? Well, guess what? Sucked in. I'm not giving you one.